The closest we can get is neighboring Chinese provinces. Qinghai is home to many ethnic Tibetans, and as the CBC's Patrick Brown reports, Beijing's crackdown extends to there, too.
Crossing the high plains of Qinghai in a graceful ballet of prayer and prostration, a devout Buddhist makes his once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage to the Tibetan capital, Lhasa. He's been on the road for a year now, and he still has 2,000 kilometers to go. From here to Lhasa, it'll take me 3 more years, he says. Hundreds of years ago, these grasslands and mountains were part of a Tibetan province called Amdo. Tibet's exiled spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, was born here. In much of the modern Chinese province of Qinghai, Tibet's unique religion and culture are as strong as they are in Tibet itself. The recent unrest in Tibet was echoed by sympathy protests here and in other neighboring provinces. Here, as in Tibet, the government is cracking down. Monasteries and temples are still open, but under severe restrictions. Temples, which are normally alive with the sound of monks chanting, are strangely silent. Monks are allowed to pray alone, but the regular routine of prayers and debates on the scriptures has been cancelled. The authorities don't want large groups of monks gathering together. Most monks are now unwilling to be seen talking to foreigners, but this visitor from another monastery agreed to show us around. In our monastery, there's a big problem, a serious crackdown, a really big crackdown. The monks have been ordered to undergo political re-education. It's hard to talk about this. We Tibetans are an ethnic group which is part of this country. It's a serious issue, and it's hard to talk about it. At prayer time, a solitary monk reads the scriptures, accompanying his meditation with an urgent drumbeat and crashing cymbals. Riot police patrol a nearby town. Weeks after the unrest began in Lhasa, they march ceaselessly round the streets looking for the first sign of trouble. The government claims the violence was part of an orchestrated campaign for Tibet independence. But local people here talk of a sudden explosion of long-standing resentments and ethnic tensions. Accurate information about exactly how the trouble began in Tibet is still hard to find. Journalists aren't allowed into Tibet right now, but every time I've been there in the past, including a long trip just a few months ago, Tibetans complained bitterly that economic development and modernization are not only mostly benefiting ethnic Chinese and not Tibetans, but also that their religion, language and culture are under threat. There's also bad blood between Tibetans and people belonging to the Muslim minority known as the Hui, says this Hui shopkeeper. He says local Tibetans are boycotting Hui shops. The TV reported that only a few people were killed, he says, but in reality it was more than that. I heard that a mosque near Lhasa's Jokang temple was set on fire, and many Hui people were killed in Lhasa. Downplaying ethnic tensions and economic rivalry as possible causes of the violence, the Chinese government accuses the Dalai Lama of instigating the trouble to spoil the Beijing Olympics. One official called the Dalai Lama a wolf in monk's robes, a devil with a human face but the heart of a beast. At another monastery, a monk leads the way to a shrine at the top of a steep stairway. The government describes the Tibetan monks who oppose Chinese rule as members of the Dalai Lama clique, which is trying to split the motherland. The monks see things differently. Here we think the Dalai Lama is a good man, he says. An illegal picture of the revered leader is at the heart of the shrine when there are no officials or police around. They don't like him, he says, but we like him. We like the Dalai Lama. When they come here, we take the picture down. Then when they leave, we put it back. We hide it up there and take it out again when they're gone. Reverence for the Dalai Lama seems almost universal among Tibetans. But even out in the wide open spaces of the Tibet-Qinghai Plateau, where no one can overhear, many people are reluctant to say out loud what they think. This woman's happy to talk about her yaks, but asked about the Dalai Lama, she says she's never heard of him. I don't know, she says. A pilgrim whose devotion takes him on a 4-year pilgrimage, measuring the road one body length at a time, doesn't conceal what's in his heart. I hope the Dalai Lama will be able to come back to China, he says. That's what I hope. I want there to be peace everywhere, and my only hope is that the Dalai Lama will come back to China. But after an explosion of discontent followed by a crackdown, there's no sign of negotiation or compromise on the horizon for Tibetans. Just a long, hard road ahead. Patrick Brown, CBC News, Qinghai.
Coming up next.